We are live on Masti AVI right now. हमारा चल रहा है cooking show which is called Cooking Comes Alive, the only show of its kind across Southeast Asia जहाँ पर रेडियो स्टूडियो से लाइव हम किचन के अंदर घुसते हैं और लाइव खाना बनाते हैं।
पहला अगर आपका स्वागत करता हूँ सिंगापुर रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 लाइव की वो महफिल जिसे आप थ्रोबैक थर्सडे कहते हैं।
रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 पर आप हमें दिल की आंखों से देखते हैं, लेकिन मस्ती एवीआई पर हम भी आपको देखते हैं और छेड़ते हैं। Best of audio and visual entertainment. Games, star interviews, contests, full on Masti.
Masti AVI.
Masti AVI.
Masti AVI. Masti AVI. Follow us on Radio Masti 24/7 Live Singapore Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated. Masti AVI, meaningful entertainment at your fingertips. Brought to you exclusively by Radio Masti 24/7.
Welcome. बहुत स्वागत है आपका रेडियो मस्ती 24/7 and of course this is Masti audio visual interactive. आप जानते हैं we always call it as meaningful entertainment at your fingertips and surely it is, right? My name is Renuka and most of you should know me. In case you guys don't know me, you're in trouble. Especially because आज जो मेरे guest हैं lawyer hai. The part one of this show is going to be very awesome, guys. When I have a lawyer by my side, you guys need to worry, right? But on that very, very Daravna note, this is Renuka, and of course, this is called the Talent Talk, as you know. Hi, Cheryl. How are you doing? Long time. Of course, it is always nice to see you as well. Lovely DP, by the way. अच्छा ऐसा है, आप लोग बड़ी बार सोचते होंगे that, you know, whenever we look at a lawyer, we are always, oh no, we've been told stay away from lawyers, stay away from police, stay away from trouble, stay away from all those people who are related to the law. Why are we so scared of lawyers? You know what? Some of the most intelligent people in this world are actually lawyers. Try to check it out. And I love having conversations with lawyers. I know why. Because मुझे घर में कहा जाता है that I have always got the ability to debate with logic, with facts, and I can trouble people. So I guess when we have the facts in place and we have a lot of intelligence and knowledge with us, then nothing can stop us, right? What's going to happen on Let's Talk Talent today? Well, we're going to be having Hi Soma, not one, but two amazing guests. Part one of this show, as you have probably read on our social media or received some messages from us today. Well, it's going to be about a very important topic in this world. कहते हैं ना, marriages are made in heaven. Absolutely they are. But we have to live through them on earth, right? How easy it is, how difficult is it to really, for two people to live under the same roof? It may not work out all the time, right? And when it doesn't, it can be extremely troublesome, especially not only for the people who are involved, but also for those who are an outcome of that relationship. And when I say that, I mean the children most of the times, apart from the family, right? उसके अलावा आपके जो सारे assets होते हैं, बहुत कुछ होता है, उसको क्या किया जाए? Because many times when we fall in love, we don't think what is going to happen when we fall out of love, right? लेकिन क्या planning शुरू से करनी चाहिए? I'm not too sure on that, because if you start planning what happens in terms of a divorce, well, then you're already having a very negative foundation for your relationship. But if you do not think ahead, then what are you going to do? Questions. Hello, Ruchika. How are you? And hi, Kirti. Welcome. So, well, I have these questions in my mind, like each one of us does. And I have a few people who are going through a lot of mess in their lives as well, with their partners because of whatever happened. लेकिन सबसे बढ़िया बात ये है कि आज के दिन में the lawyer that we have, she is very approachable, she's very friendly, she's very knowledgeable, she's very experienced. I'm talking about Sharanjeet Kaur. Well, she's the director of AdWalks Law LLC in Singapore. 25 साल, 25 years से भी ज़्यादा का experience उनको. And अच्छी बात तो ये है कि आज के दिन में without any hang-ups, she's here to answer your questions. Well, why don't we just welcome her? क्योंकि मैं ही यहाँ पर बात करती रहूंगी तो आप बोलोगे रेणुका हम जा रहे हैं, तुम्हें तो हम रोज सुनते हैं. So, not really. We want to meet our guest this evening, guys. Just give me a few seconds and she'll be right here for you.
Make sure you add Masti to your lives. Download the app today and stay energized and connected on the go. Radio Masti 24/7 Live, Singapore's only Bollywood radio since 2009.
Oh yeah.
Hi,
Welcome.
Renuka.
Hello and welcome to the Talent Talk and welcome to Masti AVI and Masti Media Network Singapore. How are you feeling today, Sharonji?
Great. A little bit nervous as always, but thank you for having me on the show. I mean, like, this is a great opportunity, and yep.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, if I can make a lawyer nervous, I'm already feeling very good.
Yeah, right. You bet.
So, Sharonji, well, I've obviously given a short introduction about you to our audience here. Well, कहते हैं ना that a lawyer is someone who writes a 1,000-word document and calls it a brief. So, with that, may I request you to briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, fine. I'm Sharanjit, and I'm a director at Vox Law LLC. I've been in practice for 25 years, and the niche practice areas that I do are centered around family law, cross-border local family issues, and as well as personal injury. These are my forte areas, and today I'm glad that Radio Masti has actually chosen to talk about something which I must admit it's not so easy to talk about. It's not so easy to go through as well, and that's what you call divorce.
Absolutely.
Right.
Very,
Someone,
very difficult
yes,
topic, for
correct.
sure,
So
Sharonji.
someone once, very long time ago, told me that a very experienced family lawyer told me that there's nothing wrong doing family law because you just break one home and make two. So yeah, that's how much it is like. Yeah. So over to you, Renuka.
Well, I will not call it a divorce and I will not call it something negative. I would rather call it a rearrangement of the family, as we were talking about, right? Because
Yes.
an unhappy marriage is not just unhappy for the two people who are a part of it, but for the extended family, as well as, of course, if children are involved, it can be very, very painful. So,
Yes.
Sharanji, since the last year, we've been hearing so much about, people are homebound and they're not able to step out. So there's more time that they're spending together. Is that good or bad? What is the outcome?
Okay, well, unfortunately, with COVID, it just threw a spanner in the works for everybody around the world. And yes, people had to live under the same roof. There were ups and downs, but some publications have cited data stating that the number of divorces have fallen quite a bit. But however, there are publications that say that domestic violence has actually increased. And so I will just say, because I don't have the statistics, but from my experience, it's indeed true that there was domestic violence on the rise. There were disagreements in the family. I mean, everybody's so stressed out, unsure about the future. And especially when you have two people who already had issues, but now forced to come and live under the one
Yes.
roof. So you can
Yep.
imagine. But I would say that pandemic not pandemic, human sentiments and relations are always at play. So my experience with the pandemic and with work from home has been just that some of these people didn't have access, perhaps, maybe, with the lockdowns and everything. But some have resolved their differences, which is really encouraging.
Mhm.
Some have not, and some have resolved to move on and rearrange their family arrangements. So that's what I feel, because I have seen a rise of queries from clients who have actually approached me when things open up and say that, things have fallen apart, but hey, you know what? We need you to help us draft out an agreement. We've worked out our differences. So some even came to me for postnuptial agreements,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which is
some
great.
said, yeah, which is great. So whatever it is, I will just say that there were unfortunately some cases that became very bitter, but some of them resolved either by reconciliation or they decided to move on amicably, even though their relationship came to an end, for the
Right.
sake of the children and in the best interest of the children.
Which is great because end of the day a lawyer also plays the role of a counselor many times. You would not just jump to it and say, yeah, you guys want a divorce, let me help you
No.
go through it. So there's a
Yeah.
there's a proper process that obviously goes in, and as a counselor. But my question to you, Sharanjit, would be कि ऐसे कौन से वाले causes हैं जो आजकल main concerns हैं या main reasons हैं for the divorce and the fallouts, right? And
Okay.
what exactly do you do in those cases? Just give us a few
Okay.
examples.
Okay. Basically, in Singapore, the reason that the main ground for divorce is an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage, and to show that you can cite certain reasons. For example, adultery, even unreasonable behavior, or just separation between
Right.
parties for 3 years, and they say, fine, it's been 3 years, I'll consent, or 4 years, kind of a thing. So these are the main types of reasons that are cited by
Right.
people who want to get a divorce, and that's the law in Singapore. They've been married for 3 years, they have been habitually resident in Singapore. So these are all the prerequisites before any divorce can be filed. But yeah, like coming back to what you said, this seems to be the main focus, the main reasons. But it's like, two people just can't get along,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
For
it's
sure.
better for them to split than to be together. And when children come in, that's where it's even more important that
Right.
the children are not made to come in between. So as lawyers, you as you rightly pointed out, it's not our job to just instigate and say, go ahead, do this, do that. In fact, family lawyers in Singapore are supposed to be therapeutically trained, to help their client cross the bridge emotionally, financially,
Of
and
course.
just, yeah.
Right. So let's take a pause here,
Okay,
Sharanji, and maybe we
sure.
just look at the question which is here. So when there is an out of court settlement, right? So there's not always that people come to you and want to file a case and want to fight it
No,
out and stuff, because it's money, it's time, it's a lot of
correct.
effort. So sometimes, and probably you also encourage them to settle
Oh,
amicably
yes.
as far as possible,
Yes.
right?
There are
So,
benefits and only benefits to do that.
of course. So when it comes to Stri Dhan, and I'm not sure if this is a Singapore, definitely it's not a Singapore thing, but it's basically the jewelry that sort of comes in with the
Yeah.
and given to the bride by the in-laws family.
Yep.
So most of the disputes would be around ab ye kiska hai? Who does it belong to? Because the
Yeah,
woman said it was
correct.
given to me, I should take it along. But how what is done
Okay,
specially
so
of
in
ab ye kiska?
Singapore, the laws on asset division, actually all assets that are acquired in the course of the marriage, right, are treated as matrimonial assets. That's the
Okay.
general rule, except
Okay.
for inheritance and gifts from third parties. So technically, these jewelry or stridan, which is jewelry bought by the in-laws, in some of the Indian cultures, they
Yeah.
they have they have dowry as well, which is
Right.
given to the groom,
Right.
right? So
Right.
all these can be treated as gifts from third parties, and so the person who had it keeps it. But
Okay.
the good thing is, the good thing about mediation, the good thing about out of court settlement is that parties have got the control and the liberty to come up with creative division of assets. For example, the parties can say, fine, no, whatever heirloom or jewelry that my parents may have gifted to you,
Yes.
will go to the son, or will be kept by you for the daughters. You come up with these creative solutions, which is not something which the court will order. So yeah, that's the out of court versus in court settlements. I mean,
Right.
in out of court settlements versus those that actually go for adjudication in court.
Right. So what you're saying is that in this case, the jewelry, for example, can be stated to go to the child of the couple rather
Yes.
than going to the wife
Yeah.
specifically to
Yeah,
the lady
correct.
who's
I
okay.
have a case. I had a case where the jewelries, because they were Indian, of Indian origin, Indian citizens, got married in India but have been living
Right.
here. So the divorce is here, but their jewelry and everything is in a fixed deposit in India. So
Yes.
they mutually agreed that when the COVID restrictions are up, they will both travel there, open up the safe, and at the end of the day, the lady keeps it with her, or the man keeps what it's in the contents of the deposit for himself. So this was a very creative and very amicable clause that both arrived at, and of course, I can only represent one party. So
Right.
when my client tells me that we have got this rough idea, please, legalize it for us in terms and take care of even cross jurisdictional matters. That's where,
Yes.
we give them that support. We contact lawyers in India to check, the feasibility of certain agreements, and then we coordinate. So these are all the things that I do.
Lovely. So, just from this topic itself, I'd come to the cross-border laws, right? So, because
Sure.
you have experience in cross-border law as well. So, is a decision which is taken in Singapore, does it have to be bound on both parties, even if one of them is not here and has already eloped or sort of run away to the other
Okay.
country?
I'll just, without going into much technicalities, I would
Yes.
just say that if there is an order in the absence of another party here, and that party is in another country, then you will have to take steps to enforce that agreement in that country. And it all depends on that country. For example, there are countries that will give, precedence to our law, our orders down here, our court
Yes.
orders. There are
Okay.
some jurisdictions that say, no, you need to start proceedings, but we'll take into consideration what's been agreed. That is why
Okay.
it's very crucial that you go to the right lawyer if there are cross-border issues, the lawyer who has got the experience to liaise
Right.
with the lawyers on the other side, because then it's a win-win situation in both
Absolutely.
jurisdictions. And this
Yes.
doesn't only apply to where one party is missing, it's consensual, or between two parties who are fully aware what they're getting into.
Absolutely. So that's
Right.
that's very helpful. That's very helpful because not all countries would recognize,
No.
what
Yeah.
Singapore
So
does.
correct. So if parties consent, then by consent you can get a mirror order in that jurisdiction. Mirroring, as the word would suggest, the orders that are made here.
Yes, perfect. So there's another question, and I think the easier way of doing this is by taking questions faster, I guess.
Sure.
So, and this is a very common thing, specifically for the platform that we represent. If someone is on the dependent pass of the husband and he's been cheating, and she's wanting a divorce, of course she would want to know if she wants to. She'll have to leave Singapore, or she can still continue. So, what happens in
Okay.
these cases?
So again, this is a very very common
Common.
question posed by expat wives and trailing
Right.
spouses, I would
Yes.
say. And
Yeah.
well, my answer to this is basically that when divorce proceedings are commenced, and especially if there are children and there are issues that need to be sorted out here, whilst the proceedings are going on, the courts have actually stepped in to say that dependent passes should not be cancelled unilaterally until the proceedings are over. But unfortunately, if the dependent pass holder after the divorce is no longer a dependent, and there are no children here who are going to be living here, or no children at all, unless that spouse is able to stand on her own 2 feet or his own 2 feet and get some form of employment here, sadly they will have to forgo their dependent pass here, because as the word suggests, you came in as a dependent, as a spouse, and with the divorce you are no longer.
Oh, okay. That's harsh.
Yeah, that is, but there's a lot of rah-rah and hoo-ha about this, and lately the papers have also I posted something as well where there's a lot of talk, and may well be legislation to see how best we can help this group of aggrieved spouses.
Because end of the day, you see, what happens is that people don't want to continue living together because they cannot live in the country any longer. I mean, this can be pretty
Correct.
tough, and therefore the domestic violence, right? So we'll take a pause here from the
Yes.
questions. As
Sure.
you mentioned in the beginning of this conversation, domestic violence has gone up, right? So
Yeah.
it may not lead to a divorce, but definitely that is one area of concern as well. So how do you have you seen a lot of cases lately, specifically since last year on this, and how do you sort of
Yeah, I've
so
gotten quite I've got quite queries on domestic violence,
right,
and the natural instinct is to make a police report and then apply for a personal protection order, and then the other party will be summoned to court, and there's always court processes have got counseling,
yes,
mediation to see
yes,
how differences can be reconciled. But sometimes domestic violence is a pattern, it's habitual, and it becomes
yes,
very grave. And that's when, there are children also who are affected, old parents also are affected, and the person's mental health is affected. So that's where, there are a lot of processes which these aggrieved people can look out for. So it's apart from just the law, like I mentioned earlier, I try my best to work with experts like counselors and
yes,
psychologists, whom I can connect my clients to,
of course, yeah,
instead of saying like, look, let's jump into a divorce, fine, leave the marriage. It's very holistic. You sort out yourself first. It's only when you are strong, you are in the right state of mind, that you can then take hold of the future.
true, absolutely. So that is a
Right.
very important point you just mentioned.
Uh-huh.
We have two more questions that have come in.
Sure.
This is kind of getting a little tough.
A little.
But thank you. Once more, just before I go on, I would like to
Sure.
say that
No
we are
problem.
right now talking, and this is the talent talk, which is on Radio Masti 24/7's Masti AVI, the platform, the visual platform, where we're talking to Sharanjeet Kaur, who's the director at Advox Law LLC in Singapore, and she specializes in family law amongst other areas, of course. Sharanjeet, back to the question. It says that my wife left our 6 month old and went to her parents. She doesn't talk to us, no cases filed, doesn't want to take responsibility. What can the person do? Whew.
Okay, I'm really sorry that your family and yourself are going through this hard times.
Yeah.
But if it's something where it involves a child and looks like there is a great disconnect between the mother and the child, is what you have said, fear not. The child is with you, and and of course, so what you can do is basically apply to court to ensure that you have the care and control of the child, and that you are the guardian. Of course, you are the parent. That means you have the custody of the child. I'm not sure how long you have been married, but if you have been married for more than 3 years and you think that there is no hope of reconciliation, and like I think it says something like they have no
No
connection. She
connect.
doesn't want to no
Yeah.
connect. Yeah. So the child's best interest is paramount. So do things for the best interest of the child. Um, Go into the application, do the application for care and control, and then send the application to her. She will have to come to court, and there's mediation, there's counseling, and you never know what comes out of there.
So,
So,
Doctor, a question that I would have here, in
yeah.
such a case where the mother does not want to take responsibility of the child, and maybe the father does not have the resources to, sort of take care of the child as well, because the child is too young. I mean, it requires specific attention. So, what is the court's take in these cases? Is it, do they send the child to the mother, or do they sort of,
Oh,
what
okay.
really
So
happens?
you see, I mean, in this case, if indeed the mother doesn't want to have anything to do with the child, then,
Right.
obviously the court is not going to hand the child over to the mother by force,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously the father will have custody, care, and control of the child. But I think what the courts will try to help is reconcile the mother with the child. So at least there's some visitation and it starts off the process, like, because they're not going to look at the best interest of the mother or the father. They're going to look at the best interest of the child. And it's in the best
Right.
interest of the child to have that connect with both parents.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it gets challenging. You mentioned 3 years a while ago.
Yeah.
So in Singapore, it is kind of 3 years as they see the
You have to
duration
be
of the
married.
marriage.
You have to be
Okay,
married for 3 years before you can commence any divorce proceedings. A lot of
understand.
people are confused that this means you have to stay separated for 3 years. No, as long as your marriage is 3 years old, then you have the chance to file for a divorce. And in that sense,
Okay,
even if there are cases where after 1 month of the marriage they just decide it's over, right, and they
right.
move out. And so you have those circumstances as well. So separation and being able to start divorce proceedings are two different things altogether.
Right. And then in that case, it's probably the annulment of the marriage and not really.
Annulment would be before 3 years, of course, but
Yeah.
annulment is a very special and very, you have a high probability, no, you have a very high standard of proof, because the grounds for annulment would be non-consummation by one party, or
Right.
mental health, or no consent, where someone was underage and or was forced to get married and things like that. So the courts
Right.
are very, very concerned about annulments, and there has to be real evidence about it, because they are very weary about sham marriages.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Yes. Yes. That is for the citizenship and the other works
Yeah,
that we keep
we do
hearing.
have that,
Yeah.
yes.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not an easy job for the courts. I mean, end of the day, there are so many
Correct.
aspects you have to
Facts.
see. We've been seeing some very recent cases in terms of also the COVID cases that obviously surged
Oh,
at a
yes.
certain point where people were showing fake relationships. But yes,
Yes.
it gets difficult. Just one last question, Sharanjit, and thank you
Sure.
for your patience.
No
It says that
problem.
the wife, in this case, it's the opposite of what we just spoke about. The wife has
Oh,
taken the
yes.
kids and left
It's
Singapore
left
without
Singapore.
informing, and it's been 6 months, no conversation. So, what options does the
Okay.
person have in this case?
Okay, well, it depends where she's gone back to. If she's gone back to a country where who is party to the Hague Convention, then
Right.
you have to start Hague proceedings. But
Okay.
countries like Malaysia and India are not parties to and signatories to the Hague Convention. So you
Okay.
got a little bit of issue there. So what will happen is that you will have to consult Indian lawyers to see, well, how best they can help. Are there provisions there to return the children? What are the laws there? Like I said, different countries have got different laws, and
Right.
there are some of my clients who have actually come and seen me, and we've gotten orders for the return of the child, but enforcing that order in India, they have to take out a habeas corpus writ. It can get very cumbersome. But there are also cases where the Indian courts have said that the children should return to the other parent in Singapore. So it's very fact centric. How long the children have been in Singapore, who was the primary caregiver, why did they go, was there domestic violence, were they in not in safe hands and things like that, and then what's
Okay.
in the best interest then of the child. That's the same
Yeah.
thing, the same threat that is in most courts.
Right, right. It gets very, very complicated. Oh my God, how do you deal with all this?
Uh,
You must be hearing all sorts of challenging relationship stories, and we always say that the most complex subject in this world is human relationships and what is
It is,
inside
it
them
is,
precisely, right?
yes. It's
How do you
not
deal
a,
with
it's not a very, I mean, how do I do it? I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy helping them.
right?
As far as possible, I have got, I've been blessed with patience, I guess. But, you know, yeah, I guess. But interestingly, I think, if you see a family, being settled, and even if it means that their relationship is rearranged, I think
Yes,
to see people happy and settled is very important. So I take that
that's
back with me with every
yeah.
client. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. You need a lot of patience. You're getting live stories. You don't need any OTT platforms and entertainment that we keep looking for, right?
I think maybe the movies and all that gets into into the groove, and people think, oh, can I do this? So there's a lot of misnomers,
Yes. Yes.
not myths, that, oh, this is this and that. But I think the what I want to tell everybody is that human relationships last. Sometimes they don't. You get bitter and everything else.
Right.
But you know what? Don't get emotionally charged. There is help. Sort out your family rearrangements amicably. There's mediation, there's collaborative practices, alternate dispute resolution, because
Hmm.
you are the owner of your family and your life ahead. So yeah, that's what
That's a
you should
very
do.
positive advice. Just
Yeah,
before I let you go, Sharanji, there's one question which I posed in the beginning of this introduction, which is,
sure.
when in the good old days when our parents and the parents' got married, they would never think of assets and how it's going to be.
Sure.
Segregated or
Yeah.
distributed in place, obviously because of different reasons then. And now, different reasons that we see higher separation and divorce rates
Mm.
compared to the yesteryears. So tell me, do you recommend that women specifically keep their salaries separately or keep their accounts separately right from the beginning? Is that a recommended approach in today's world? Or
Um,
what would you as a lawyer suggest?
okay, I think I will just answer that as a lawyer.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. As a
Okay.
lawyer. Yeah.
So yeah. So with times, you are right. People think about the future. People get into marriages coming in with wealth, right? There are people who have inheritance that's gonna come in, and there's a lot of equality. Both men and women go out and work. Even
Yes.
the homemakers are now given that equal status when it comes to a divorce and their contributions in Singapore, right? Because, like I said, what your efforts you put in the marriage are not going to go um,
Rewarded.
unrecognized.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
unrewarded, unrecognized, because it's all about contributions, be it a homemaker, be it a house husband, or some or both going out to work, right?
Right.
But yes, so the other way, and I've seen a trend, is where people start to get into prenuptial agreements or postnuptial
Mm.
agreements.
Yeah.
Prenuptial agreements, making it very clear that I've come into the marriage with these expectations. We both have, okay,
Yes.
and yeah, and this is how we're gonna do things, and keep certain things separate, keep certain things combined, and be
Mm.
fair to one another. But if you're asking me whether or not it's good to keep a separate account and
Yes.
keep your own account, like I said, all assets, whether it's in your name or joint during the course of the marriage, are generally treated as matrimonial assets. I think what's very
Understand.
important is to for both parties to recognize each other's contributions.
Right.
And prenuptial agreements, postnuptial agreements are helpful. They are very, very much encouraged and used in the Western countries. There's a
Mm.
trend now among young couples who are tying the knot, and older couples who want things to be very much put
Black and
properly,
white.
black and white, and things like that. So yes, I think financial discipline and
Yes.
it's very important for anybody, whether the husband or the wife, because
And
when
that's the
things are
lawyer's
rosy,
advice.
correct, because when things are
Absolutely.
rosy, nobody
Yeah.
nobody knows, nobody thinks who keeps the receipts. I'm not asking you to keep the receipts, but you know what, financial health is important. Just you
Any
got to
day.
talk about such topics. If you don't confront such topics, it's not gonna help you in the long run if these things are gonna keep propping up.
I totally agree with that. It's better to be safe than sorry, as we say. So,
Correct.
right, to avoid all the negativity later. So, this is a very, very, I would say, a very useful conversation, Sharanjeet, because
Thank you.
really, the biggest thing is that we all shy away from, of course, approaching a lawyer. Because we don't want to, even the questions as you see here are all anonymous this evening, and
Yes.
it's mainly because we don't want to be identified for what is happening in our house. We don't want to share it. We want to obviously go through it till things see no, we see no light at the end of the tunnel, right? So to say. But thank you so much. Of course, we reach you at www.advoxlaw.com, which
Yes.
is great. And I hope you will be, of course, open to getting our listeners, if they have
Oh
any
yes.
advice, requirements,
Yeah.
be nice to them. And
Okay, I always am. Okay, anyway, thank you, Renuka, and to everyone out there, you're not alone. Do seek the right advice and get the right help. And it's important that you don't shy away from things. That's nothing. There's
yes,
no taboo. There's no downside of things. And feel free to contact me. My details are shared by Radio Masti. And yep, drop me your inquiries and see. You never know. I may be able to help you.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Sharanjeet, for all your time this evening.
Sure.
It's been a pleasure, really. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Woo, that was very, very, very powerful. I must say, I totally enjoyed that conversation, guys. Because कहा था ना मैंने शुरू में कि lawyers, policemen, judges, and सबसे लोग कहते हैं दूर रहो, दूर रहो, दूर रहो. बिल्कुल दूर रहो. लेकिन the kind of advice that they can give, specifically if they are logical, they have the experience, and of course they have. They're right here for you, right? तो फिर तो और क्या चाहिए भाई? Because कहते हैं ना कि divorce doesn't mean that you have failed in a marriage. It means that you as a team have failed, right? So don't take it to yourself. Don't take it too hard. Be open about it. And of course, it can be very traumatic for the children specifically. So it is important for you to get the right advice from the right lawyer. Come on now, let's move on, guys. From this part one to part two, जैसा कि मैंने आपको शुरू में कहा था, there is a part two to today's show as well. We always have at least two guests, remember? So आज का जो part two होने वाला है, it's going to be a little bit more relaxed than this one. आप ऐसे करके बैठे हुए थे, आप थोड़े से relax कर जाओ. There will be a lot of fun. There will be a lot of inspiration, and definitely there will be a lot to learn from this young lady who's called Anindita Ghosh. इनके बारे में 2 मिनट में, right after I introduce the sponsors for today's show.
आइए अब हाथों को ऊपर ले जाइए, घुटनों को थोड़ा आगे की तरफ और कूल्हों को पीछे की तरफ निकालिए।
इस हाल पर पहुंचने से पहले ही संभल जाए। Health RX Healthcare Products, Kati Grow Plus tablets for healthy joint comfort and more. Log on to healthrx.com.sg or call 674-374-39 for details on these and more. Health RX, effective healthcare, top quality at reasonable prices. Order yours today.
Welcome back. जी हाँ, this is the Talent Talk, and part two. Is part two में क्या होने वाला है? We're going to meet yet another powerful woman. I must tell you today, it's woman power all around here. पहले lawyer और अब एक career banker, जो कि मतलब सिर्फ यही नहीं रुकती है उनकी कहानी, आगे बढ़ती हैं वो डायरेक्टर एट एन एमएनसी बैंक बनने के बाद में शी डिसाइडेड कि भाई हो गया, इस पार्ट में तो मैंने कंट्रीब्यूट कर दिया, द वर्ल्ड नीड्स मोर ऑफ मी, राइट? सो शी डिसाइडेड टू गेट इनटू अ प्रोडक्शन हाउस। उसको इस्टेब्लिश करते करते इन्होंने कहा ऑल राइट आर्कलाइट प्रोडक्शंस, अब आप खड़े हो चुके हो, आप भी खड़े रहो, आपको तो हम आगे बढ़ाएंगे ही, लेकिन साथ साथ में मुझे लगता है कि हाउ कैन आई लेट गो ऑफ दैट इंटेलिजेंस इन माय ब्रेन व्हिच हैज बीन हॉन्टिंग मी फॉरएवर, आई हैव टू गो आउट एंड लुक इनटू सम स्ट्रेटेजिक कंसल्टिंग वर्क एज वेल। भाई ये भी नहीं है, अभी तो आप सुनते जाइए और क्या क्या करती हैं ये, बट व्हाई डोंट आई डू दिस, लेट मी इनवाइट हर एंड फिर आप और मैं मिलके उनकी खिंचाई करते हैं, बिकॉज बोथ ऑफ अस वांट टू नो ऑब्वियसली कि यार ये इतना कुछ कैसे कर लेती हैं, मतलब कैसे कर लेती हैं ये भी। Let's invite, ladies and gentlemen, Anandita Ghosh to this platform.
आइए अब हाथों को ऊपर ले जाइए, घुटनों को थोड़ा आगे की तरफ और कूल्हों को पीछे की तरफ निकालिए।
इस हाल पर पहुंचने से पहले ही संभल जाए। Health RX Healthcare Products, Cartigro Plus tablets for healthy joint comfort and more. Log on to healthrx.com.sg or call 674-374-39 for details on these and more. Health RX, effective healthcare, top quality at reasonable prices. Order yours today.
वो क्या बात है भाई, अनंतता जी चुप चुप बैठी हैं एकदम, मतलब सब ठीक तो है? इस स्वागत तो आपका तालियों से ही करना चाहिए। वेलकम, हाउ आर यू?
Thank you. Renuka is raining.
Oh, it's raining. Okay, so there's one rain.
It's raining, Renuka. I just saw your icon, your name icon.
Well, I've actually changed it. It used to be just the umbrella with the UKA, and it became a nice icebreaker right in the beginning. People used to say, "ये क्या नाम है?" मैं पूछती थी, "तुम बताओ." तो अनंदिता,
It's raining, Renuka.
तुम्हारी इंट्रोडक्शन में seriously speaking, I have been totally amazed, in awe of this one person. मुझे लगा आज मेरे कितने सारे गेस्ट आ रहे हैं शो पे, मतलब एक इंसान तो ये सब नहीं कर सकता. Of course, people want to bring it on. She's already here, guys, and seriously speaking, I want to know, ये बैंकर से आर्टिस्ट, और आर्टिस्ट तो अभी मैंने तुम्हारे अवार्ड्स तो गिनने शुरू ही नहीं करे हैं, लेकिन उसके अलावा ये साथ में कंसल्टिंग, मतलब क्या हो तुम, क्या हो, व्हाट आर यू?
मैं एक I'm a symbol of womanhood and I'm a symbol of the power of women. I really truly believe that women have unlimited potential. It's just a matter of starting to tap into it and exploring it. And I have more recently been exploring more of my powers, woman powers. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I think every woman has it in her to be multiple people, multiple persons. I think we are super multitaskers and women can pull it off. Don't you
मैं
think
ऐसे
so?
नहीं छोड़ूंगी, मैं इसके लिए तुम्हें सिर्फ तालियां दूंगी, लेकिन उसके बाद नहीं छोड़ूंगी। I want to know more. So ये जो अनंदिता घोष आज के दिन में सिंगापुर के कब्जे में है, ये कहाँ से आई और कब आई और कैसे हुआ ये सब कुछ, बताओ।
So I came to Singapore with my job. I started after my MBA. I started my career at Standard Chartered Bank in India, and then I moved here with an internal transfer. I worked with Standard Chartered for a good 10-11 years. Had an amazing time. Before I took my break, which was meant to be a very short break, by the way. I had thought 3-4 महीना आराम करके वापस चली जाऊंगी banking में. So last I was working as director managing cash products globally for commercial banking for Standard Chartered. And then वो 3 महीने के break में ना मेरे को एक फिल्म में audition करने को मिल गया, एक फिल्म में role मिल गया. So and this was a movie by Raja Gopal, and he is obviously a very prolific, well-known
The Lizard on the Wall. I watched it. Is that the one?
Yes. That was my first. I mean, it's my first, so it's special to me. But basically with all of the shosha and the glitz and glamour of the red carpet and the event, because so this film premiered at the Singapore International Festival of Arts as its grand finale, and
Uh-huh.
it was like glitz and glam, so I got bitten by the bug.
So
And
I
then I just
remember that
looked.
film. You know why I remember that film, because I was hosting the gala awards, the last, the awards that evening, and I remember telling the audience that right after now the awards are finished, you guys can carry on and go for the screening of this film, for which I also reached, and I remember there were a lot of familiar faces and a beautiful movie. Obviously, uh, he's known
Lovely.
to
So yeah, I mean,
extensively.
it's a very small world we have here in Singapore anyway, right?
यस, यस। तो अच्छा ये बताओ, तो वो तो कीड़ा लग गया तुमको फिर उसके बाद में एक्टिंग का, राइट? यू
तो
सेड
बस
अबे
कीड़ा लग
यार ये
गया,
तो
फिर
आई
मैंने
कैन डू इट
थिएटर
वेरी
स्टार्ट
वेल।
किया।
हाँ, देन थिएटर
सो मैं
शुरू
फिर
कर दिया।
थिएटर
वो
में घुसी,
बैंक का
मैंने
क्या
बहुत
हुआ?
सारा थिएटर किया,
हाँ।
वापस नहीं गई।
दिस इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू हियर। वापस नहीं गई। ऑलराइट। ओके, बोला कि
कीड़ा
आई
लग
हैव
गया,
डीप
वापस नहीं गई, अभी तक वापस नहीं जा पाई हूँ। आई मीन इट्स नॉट लाइक आई हैव लेफ्ट माय कॉर्पोरेट करियर, आई स्टिल हैव अ कॉर्पोरेट डबल लाइफ, बट मैं बैंक में अभी तक वापस नहीं जा पाई हूँ। आई लव माय बैंकिंग डेज, इट्स जस्ट दैट this new world has been so all consuming for me, and I think I mean it's been so dynamic in a way, because so I started with
राइट,
theater, I did a lot of theater. So what I did was, I started with our Indian theater, of course, but then I kind of uh, diversified into the different theater groups in Singapore. So I've worked with the British theater groups, the French theater groups, the local theater groups. So, and working with all of these different theater groups, I that's where the idea of Timeless Tales had come to me, because I just felt
राइट,
that theater groups in Singapore work in silos. There's so much
राइट,
talent
दैट
in
इज
here,
ट्रू।
but they work in their silos, they play to their own audiences. So that's where I had this idea of Timeless Tales. I went to Shalima and asked her, this is my idea, let's do this. And she is obviously, I mean, she's just very, very excited. And then so we decided to create this show, which was bringing together people from different theater groups and different
यस,
platforms and bringing them into one show. So yeah, I think we created
व्हिच
something
इज अ
special.
ब्यूटीफुल
You were,
या
yeah. I mean,
I was there
you've
for
been
the
with
launch
us. You've been
previous
with us
season।
from the very first year, Renuka. Thank you so much. I think उसके लिए भी ताली।
अच्छा, वो भी मैं ही बजाऊं? चलो ठीक है।
मैंने तो बजवाया। I
Well,
remember in
I
our very
think
first year, you brought us into your studios. I'm really missing being in your studio. By the way, I love your studio. I'm sitting in my
आ
own
जाओ, अभी
boring
आ
white
जाओ।
walled house.
So yeah, I
But I
think that's
remember
a
at the end of Timeless Tale season 1, we went to your studio and we
yes,
had a long chat with Antara. And
that is
yeah, I mean, it's been we've just not looked back since. I've done a couple of other shows, like a international dance festival as well. And
right.
so we started making films this year, thanks to COVID. COVID
सुन
gave us
रहे
a
हैं हम,
nudge
बिल्कुल
and
सुन
we
रहे हैं।
went hurtling
लेकिन
down the
रुको,
road to
रुको।
making films.
हाँ, रुको। अभी क्या है कि वो तो एक ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव हो गया तुम्हारा टाइमलेस, ठीक है? इट वाज समथिंग व्हिच वाज देयर वाज अ गैप in Singapore, and you guys nicely, beautifully sorted that out. But tell me, I have also been reading your profile and I understand there is a published author tag attached to you as well. अब ये इतना कुछ भाग दौड़ करती हो तुम, ये किताबें कब लिख लेती हो तुम? मतलब व्हाट इज गोइंग ऑन? कितने घंटे हैं तुम्हारे
अरे
दिन में?
कोविड में क्या करूं, कोविड ने घर बिठा दिया ना मेरे को। राइट।
ओके।
सो कोविड ने घर बिठा दिया, फिर मैं सोचा मैं क्या करूं, मैं लिखती हूँ. So I
हाँ,
anyway had been writing. So in both Timeless Tales season 1 and 2, I have written plays that we've staged. I've written for other productions as well that have been staged. So
yes.
I mean, I have been writing. But yeah, this time I decided to get myself published, and it was actually poetry that got published.
हाँ,
So yeah, COVID ने घर में ऐसा बंद कर दिया कि पोएट्री निकल आया अंदर से.
दैट इज ट्रू। मुझे लगता है कि अपार्ट फ्रॉम कोविड तुम्हारे अंदर ना देयर इज दिस स्प्रिंग जो कि पैरों के नीचे लगा है, वो कूदता रहता है, वो बहुत सारी जगहों पे जाना चाहता है, वो सब कुछ करता है। सो व्हाट इज दिस
एक
सिंगिंग
लाइफ
थिंग?
है, एक लाइफ है.
हाँ, हम
जीना है
सबके
पूरी
पास
जिंदगी,
एक ही
जीना
है।
है जिंदगी.
I love that. I totally love that. Anandita, एक बात बताओ, ये जो तुमने गाना भी गाया है, so where did that come from? So what happened first? First was obviously you decided you'd be a boring professional, right? उसके बाद, by chance, and of course, there was a path that sort of paved its way, and then you kept following it, and then of course got bigger and wider, and of course there's, the whole world is open out there. So tell me, what is the plan? What exactly are you planning to do from here? मुझे रोल कब दे रही हो तुम? चलो, let's put it that way.
आ जाओ अगला फिल्म साथ करते हैं.
ये देखो, she is always,
मैं तो
this is
सब
what I love about her.
मैं तो सबको बोलती हूँ, ये देखो कि in this Timeless Day season 3, so one thing we do is we always try to take people from our previous editions, which we have, like we have people
Yes.
who've been with us since year 1, but we also every year try to bring in new talent. So इस बार अगर if you see my set of people, I've brought in people who've never done stuff before, and they are just my friends. Like जैसे IWA, the Indian Women's Association, I joined them,
Yes.
and मैंने उनके लिए एक drama workshop किया. So when
Right.
I was doing that workshop, I just had my eyes open for talent. और मैंने वहां से कितना सारा talent उठा लिया. So
Of course,
like I
there
featured
are
a lot
a
of
bunch
talents.
of amazingly talented people, and I must say, Oyona,
Right.
or she's written one of your stories. Am I
Yes, so
right?
Psycho was written by Ayana. So Ayana has a friend, उसको मैंने बोला, so we were वही again COVID में we were doing some spoof videos and all. मैंने कहा यार तू तो लिखती है, तू लिख मेरे लिए. तो मेरा
हाँ.
ऐसे ही होता है, जैसे मैंने बोला आ जाओ फिल्म करते हैं. तो मैंने ऐसे ही उसको बोला चलो फिल्म बनाते हैं. उस समय थिएटर था, मैंने उसको बोला स्क्रिप्ट लिख, बनाते हैं कुछ. तो फिर बना डाला. और उसने बोला, फिर जब मैंने फिल्म बनाया, she said like I'd like to learn how to make films. मैंने कहा आ जाओ AD बन जाओ. So she started with me in Psycho. She was my AD. She learned, and उसके बाद she's made her film by herself and also
Hey,
under
hang on.
Arclight banner.
मुझे Psycho के बारे में बात करनी है specifically because that's your directorial debut. Am I right to say that?
It is, yeah. I mean, commercially, yes. I have been doing chotu motu stuff, but commercially, yes.
I love the way she talks. छोटू मोटू stuff. छोटू मोटू में इसका बैंक हो गया, छोटू मोटू में इसका आर्ट हो गया, इसकी एक्टिंग हो गई, गाना हो गया, सब छोटू मोटू है. अभी बड़ू बड़ू आना है. Okay, so talking about your directorial debut, Anandita, I'm loving this conversation, especially after that very serious divorce lawyer का conversation. मुझे लग रहा है, oh, I can breathe. So the thing is, ये जो directorial debut है तुम्हारा, of course I watched the film and I was, there right in time to watch it. It was beautifully done. I have to congratulate you for that. And at the same time, it caught attention. Of course, it was derived from a very famous story, so to say. But the way it was presented, acted, I saw Madhu Suri, I think, was a part of it. I watched all the other actors as well. Amazing, beautifully done. So, ये बताओ, उसमें तुम्हें क्या challenges आए?
So Psycho ka one thing I like to share is that so usually films take long to shoot, right? You shoot over a few
Yeah.
days minimum or a month or so. Psycho हमने 7 घंटे में shoot किया. 7 hours. Yes, only 7 hours. That film has been shot in 7 hours. Obviously, that belittles the amount of pre-production work that we did. I'm
Yeah.
a person as a director. I do a lot of pre-production work, whether it's like films I'm directing or films like Love Yours Truly. I was a creative director, so I do very very like a lot of pre-production work. तो वो बहुत
Right.
काम किया post production. Obviously, movies get made on the editing table, but the shoot itself was only 7 hours. So so my actors were all trained, everything, like we had on-set rehearsals, and we had restriction of 5. So I see Madhu's there on the call. Hats off to her, like, because we had the restriction of 5. We couldn't have more than 5 persons on the sets. So poor thing, I remember उसका call time था 12 बजे रात को 12 बजे call time, okay, and I hadn't finished shooting my other actors. तो मेरा एक actor निकलने वाला था and वो आने वाला. That's how
Okay.
that's the challenge of shooting in COVID, yeah,
Wow.
because you cannot have more than 5 people at the same time. उस समय 5 का
Right.
rule था. So yeah, I mean, so poor thing, at 12 o'clock in the night she was waiting in the lobby for her turn to come. I mean, she's a thorough professional. वो आई अपने shot टक 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 दे गई. But yeah, I mean, it was challenging to do it. So हम लोग between me and Ayana.
एक बार यहाँ पर तालियां मधु के लिए.
Yes.
Alright. Okay, so फिर क्या हुआ बताओ.
So and the other challenges was, so within 5 people you have 2 actors. तो बचे फिर एक साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट था, ऑन लोकेशन साउंड रिकॉर्डिस्ट, एक हमारा कैमरामैन था गुमा, श्रीकांत गुमा, एंड देन वी हैड आयना एंड मी. सो बिटवीन आयना एंड मी, जैसे आपने फिल्म में देखा होगा बाथटब बना है मस्त फोम वाला हमारे फिल्म में इन द इनिशियल सीन, शी इज इन अ बाथटब. तो हम डायरेक्टर, हम पानी भी बना रहे हैं हम मेकअप भी कर रहे हैं, हम कपड़े भी डाल रहे हैं, हम क्लैपर बोर्ड भी डाल रहे हैं, हम नोट्स भी लिख रहे हैं, हम सब कुछ कर रहे थे.
और फिर भी 7 घंटे में हो गया सब.
और फिर भी 7 घंटे में मूवी निपटा डाला.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was challenging. I wouldn't lie. It was challenging for everybody.
Right.
But I remember when I saw the footage. So usually when I shoot, the very same night I look through all the footage so that I know कि क्या मिला है क्या नहीं मिला है. और मैं साइको देख के डिप्रेस हो गई थी because I mean my footage देख के, because I was like मेरे को जितना लेना था प्री प्रोडक्शन में, मैं जितना प्लान किया था उसका about 60% मैं ले पाई थी, शूट कर पाई थी. We couldn't shoot everything because of the time limitation. But then मैंने, और इतना मैं डिप्रेस हो गई, मैंने 4 महीना छोड़ दिया. तो दिसंबर से लेके अप्रैल तक मैंने साइको टच नहीं किया. फिर मई में मैं वापस गई, मैंने कहा अब मैं इसको एडिट करती हूँ. और ये फिल्म जो है एडिटिंग टेबल पे बना है. तो एडिटिंग पे बहुत मेहनत किया मैंने. आई वर्क रियली हार्ड ऑन द एडिटिंग ऑफ द फिल्म. एज यू हैव सीन द कलर्स, the sound effects, the glitches, so सब डाल डूल के हमने कुछ बना दिया. And yeah, it's done very well globally. I mean, it's literally traveled all over the world. I'm so proud of my team, and everybody who's been involved.
Okay, so all over the world.
आज मैंने सुबह बैठ के पिन लगाया मैप पे.
चलो ये अभी कैमरा घुमा के वो वाला मैप दिखा देना हमको बाद में. अभी तो ये बताओ कि इंडिया में यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन जो है कि इंडिया में भाई ये मूवीज कैसे देख सकते हैं? आप बना के फिल्में अपने पास रखे जा रहे हो, दिखाओ तो सही लोगों को क्या कर रहे हो तुम.
So I have been sending it to quite a few film festivals in India, and वहाँ पे सब screenings हुए हैं, like in Pune, Mumbai, Kolkata. We've had screenings of the film, but it's been COVID month, so I haven't really encouraged my family to go out and watch them in the halls when the film festivals have happened. But apart from that, के सरा
हाँ देखो बता नहीं रही है यहाँ पर अभी ना इसके अंदर. हाँ देखो कैसे बता नहीं रही है कि मैं कहाँ दिखाऊंगी. So I am so sorry, but if this person here, Samirendra, is supposed to be one of your known people, I guess. घोष
yes,
जानते हो जरूर. तो भाई आपको नहीं दिखने वाली है, रहने दो, नहीं दिखने वाली है आपको. ये अब बहुत बड़ी डायरेक्टर बन गई हैं ये.
And I'm waiting to show the film to my friends and family. But yeah, it's so what I'm saying is that right now we're looking at the screenings. हमारा next screening 30 November पे है. But उसके बाद फिल्म का क्या जर्नी होगा we don't know, because अभी तक यहाँ तक पहुंचेंगे ये हमने सोचा नहीं था. तो इसके आगे कहाँ जाएंगे ये भी नहीं पता है.
ओहो अच्छा पता नहीं है, लेकिन पता नहीं कहाँ से
बहुत है, सपने बहुत है.
तुम्हें नहीं पता हो तो बेटर है, because without that you are doing all this. पता होगा तो पता नहीं.
मैं सपने देखती रहती हूँ. मैं सपने देखती रहती हूँ, मेरा काम है सपने देखना.
And of course think of the devil, and there she is. Congratulations, devil, we just spoke about you for your lovely scripts, and that's your father. Why were you not telling me that? I'm saying आपको कुछ नहीं दिखने वाला है. All right. So अभी मेरी क्लास लगवा दोगे तुम. There she goes. All right. So अनंतिता, घर में जो लोग हैं तुम्हारे, उनका क्या कहना है कि नौकरी छोड़ के ये क्या कर रही हो तुम? मतलब नौकरी क्यों नहीं करती हो? तुमसे सीधे काम क्यों नहीं होते लाइफ में? ऐसा कभी सुनने को मिला कहीं से?
रेणुका मुझे सुनाई नहीं एक बार.
हाँ, बिकॉज तुमने बिल नहीं पे किया इस बार अपने.
I couldn't hear you. The line was.
Okay.
भरा यार.
I love that. So what I'm saying is that तुमको कभी किसी ने कहा कि why are you leaving your work? I mean, whenever we take that plunge, right, in life, uh, definitely there are people around us playing safe and saying अच्छी वाली नौकरी है, salary घर ला रहे हो, क्या problem है तुम्हें छोड़ के, कीड़ा है तुम्हारे अंदर. So were there people who sort of told you that, and any regrets thereafter?
Oh yeah, very much, very much. Like everybody around me. For example, my husband did not want. So my husband was afraid कि अगर मैं नौकरी नहीं किया तो उसका सर खा लूंगी मैं. वो देखो खुद ही बोल दिया, सीधा बोला, पति ने बोला नौकरी करो. उसको डर
इसे
था कि
कहते
मैं
हैं
उसका सर खा लूंगी.
मैंने कहा मेरा काम है सिर्फ चिंगारी का, बाकी आएगी ना बाहर, रुको तो सही. हाँ.
So everybody in my, because I've always been a very career oriented person, I've always been very ambitious and very busy in life, in the sense that I keep myself very busy. तो उनको लगा कि अगर मैंने नौकरी नहीं किया तो मैं सबका, घर वालों का बाल नोच डालूंगी.
नोच लोगी तुम. हाँ.
नहीं नोचा
And I won't be
मैंने, नहीं
surprised.
नोचा.
I'm sure.
I found myself things to do. And anyway, then eventually we started a consultancy, and then I mean, our consultancy, thank God, is doing very well. That helps me sustain my passions as well, because पति का कंपनी है, तो जब मैं बिजी रहती हूँ उससे काम करवा लेती हूँ. फिर जैसे अभी फिल्म बन गया तो अभी वापस आ गई हूँ मैं अपने सीईओ के रोल में. इतने दिन बेचारे ने मेरा भी सारा काम किया.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. That's the husband, I'm assuming. Is that the husband? ये वो दुखी पति की आवाज है.
Yeah, that's
जो बहुत दूर दूर से चीख चिल्ला के मुझे पुकार पुकार के मेरा अटेंशन ले रही है. प्रशांत, आई एम विद यू. आई टोटली अंडरस्टैंड. इस तरह की जो बीवियां होती है वो कितना दुखी कर सकती है. भाई तू चेक और सिग्नेटरी इसी को बना दे. जस्ट फॉरगेट अबाउट एवरीथिंग एल्स. रोने, ये बेचारा अबला मर्द. ऑलराइट, सो इसको रोल वोल दो ना तुम कुछ. व्हाई डोंट यू जस्ट कीप हिम बिजी? कुछ कैमरा वैमरा पकड़ाओ, कुछ सिखाओ उसको, एडिटिंग कराओ उससे.
अरे वो हमारे थिएटर एडिशंस में ही इज बीन द प्रोडक्शन हेड. लाइक ही मैनेजेस आवर एंटायर स्टेज मैनेजमेंट, पूरा वो मैनेज करता है. इस बार बेचारे को चांस नहीं मिला बिकॉज हम लोग फिल्म्स बना रहे थे, तो स्टेज मैनेजर की जरूरत नहीं थी.
उसकी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट हो गई ना, तो वो इसीलिए चला रहा है.
अरे किसी को तो कंसल्टेंसी चलाना था, नहीं तो हमारे घर के बिल्स कैसे भरते भाई.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. देखो उसकी साइड लेते हुए कुछ लोग आ रहे हैं और बोल रहे हैं प्रशांत इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द टीम. बिल्कुल गलत बात है.
आयना तो बोलेगी, आयना ने तो उसके सारे, प्रशांत ने उसके सारे गोलगप्पे खा लिए थे सेट्स पे.
रुको, पहले तो इसके लिए तालियां. बेचारा कुली का रोल. मुझे तो लग रहा है आज का जो शो है हमारा, ऑफ कोर्स दिस इज जस्ट अ जोक, बट ये पहले डिवोर्स लॉयर लाके और फिर तुम्हारा शो करके मुझे लग रहा है यहाँ as Neerja says, ticking time bomb है भाई. मैं इतना बताना चाहूंगी कि this is just a coincidence that Sharanjit was here before talking to Anandita and Prashant. These two shows have nothing in common. और मैं बेगुनाह हूँ. Alright. Well, true Masti style, I would say. But Anandita, this is serious now, and I'm really saying that it's wonderful meeting somebody with your energy level and your commitment and drive and hard work and so much of vision कि ये भी कर लूँ, सब कुछ करूँ. And definitely I would say कि it's not only kar loon, but do it well, because I've seen your most latest product and I can vouch for it that you have, from where you started to where you are today, you have done wonders. Totally.
Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot. And seriously, like Psycho, Love Yours Truly, and all of the films of Timeless Tales. I mean, when we hear audiences gushing about it, Love Yours Truly ke baare mein, even after 3 weeks, people have had dinner table conversations. They wrote to us that, they've had dinner table conversations about the film and the ending, and people are debating different endings and, how it should have been. And it is really endearing that we've managed to touch people, managed to, impact people as much as that they're still talking about us. So that really means a lot to us. And Neerja here is actually the co-director of Love Yours Truly along with Ayana.
She is okay.
Super
Amazing
ladies who've made that beautiful film, which has got 8 international awards already. I
And
don't think when we
counting.
were and counting, hopefully.
भाई तो अभी हमारी एक विश है कि हम एक दिन आपका ऐसा जिस तरह से आपने टाइमलेस टेल्स किया एट थिएटर, वी वुड लाइक टू से ओके, आनंदिता घोष के जो सारे वर्क्स हैं, दे आर बीइंग स्क्रीन्ड एट दीज थिएटर्स, प्लीज गो एंड वॉच. हाउ डज इट साउंड, बाय द वे? आई जस्ट गिव यू एन आइडिया. Absolutely. So with that,
I
Anandita,
love
what
that. I would love that. आपके मुंह में घी, शक्कर, पेड़े, लड्डू, whatever you like. Diwali is around the
कोशिश
corner.
कर रही हूँ, बहुत कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि इस टाइम वेट कंट्रोल पे रहे, बट थैंक यू वेरी मच. वी ऑलवेज स्टार्ट आवर फेस्टिव सीजन विद द sarees and end up with loose kurtas, so I don't want to do that this year. But but on that note, just one quick question, Anandita, what would you like to say to all those women जो कहते हैं हम बोर हो गए, या all those people out there, not just women specifically, हम बोर हो गए, कुछ करने को नहीं है, ये कोविड की वजह से हम परेशान हैं, उनके बारे में उनको क्या कहना चाहोगे आप?
So I'd like to say, just introspect a bit, think of what you like doing, what is your passion, and don't be afraid, because I think it's our own reservations that kind of keep us bound and limited. There is no limit to what we can do. And the other thing is, Singapore has this a lot of these people who are there to support you, to be behind you, back you up, and feel free to reach out and just extend a hand. Somebody will catch it and collaborate. And there's no end to what you can do. So don't limit yourself. Don't think ये कर सकते हैं, ये नहीं कर सकते.
I just extended my hand. मुझे तो कोई नहीं पकड़ा. तुम उधर लेके जा रही हो, हाँ?
हाँ, ये.
That was a fantastic conversation, Anandita. जाने नहीं दूंगी, तुम्हें गाना गाना पड़ेगा, और वैसे ही तुमको यहाँ से भेजूंगी. अच्छा सा गाना गा के सुनाओ. पब्लिक
यार
डिमांड है.
Spotify पे है, प्लीज चला लो.
Oh my God! देखो ना, ऑटोग्राफ दे दो. नहीं, तुम जाके मेरे असिस्टेंट से ले लो. नहीं, मैडम, आज आप ही आई
नहीं,
हैं.
उसलिए नहीं बोल रही हूँ. Spotify पे इतना अच्छा साउंड करता है वो गाना, बिकॉज वो मास्टर्ड है. अभी यहाँ पे लाइव गाऊंगी तो बहुत गंदा आएगा. गाने मत बोलो.
नीरजा, अभी उसका भांडा फूटने वाला है. नीरजा, सॉरी बेबी, यू जस्ट asked for
यार,
something.
पहले बोल देती, थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस करके आती.
Andy, come on, we want to hear
What do
you
you want me
sing.
to sing? What do you want me to
What?
sing?
मतलब तुम मुझे प्रपोज कर लो, गाना गा लो, मेरे लिए गा लो. Come on, what do you
मैं
want?
हिंदी गाना गाऊं कि मेरे फिल्म का गाना गाऊं?
नहीं, फ्रेंच गाना गाओ बेबी आज तो.
ओ यो,
मेरा
फ्रेंच नहीं
का
आता.
तो मतलब जो आता है वो गाना यार.
न जाने क्यों होता है यूं जिंदगी के साथ, अचानक ये मन किसी के जाने के बाद करे फिर उसकी याद, छोटी छोटी सी बात. न जाने क्यों.
Oh, how sweet is that? Oh my God, this is too good. मतलब I always look at, नहीं, I have to say Darun. And
it wasn't so Darun.
Patapati. Yes.
Patapati. Antara has trained you well.
Actually, I have to admit, it started with Iona, and then of course I kind of led it. I in fact went for one of the Zoom sessions with migrant workers, and I wished them the whole festive season in Bangla. Of course, it was written in English in front of me, so that's a different story. But wow, you are one hell of a talented woman. तुम्हारे साथ बैंक करता भी क्या? I mean, बैंक तो waste कर देता तुम्हारी सारी की सारी.
नहीं यार, बैंक के साथ भी I had a very good time. I had a good 10-12 years of my life with the bank. I really enjoyed myself.
But thank you, Anandita. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. It's just been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so very much. And thank you everybody, my friends who have been messaging. I've been watching your comments.
तो बाद में जाके ज्यादा हाई फ्लाई वाले आर्टिस्ट मत बनो, जाके एक को थैंक यू बोलो वहां पर.
ओके, बिल्कुल डन है जी.
All right, thank you for being with us, and thanks everyone for being so much fun today. I really totally enjoyed everyone writing whatever. Prashant, I understand.
Make sure you add Masti to your lives. Download the app today and stay energized and connected on the go. Radio Masti 24/7 Live, Singapore's only Bollywood radio since 2009.
Oh yeah.
I must say that जब भी मुझे कोई अपने जैसा कोई बराबर का पंगेबाज मिल जाता ना, I have more fun than anyone else. But totally, today was such a fun conversation. I mean, the first bit was very, I would say, informative, and the second part of our show today was totally fun and also inspiring. But I have to thank you all for being with us this evening, guys. This is Renuka, of course, on Radio Masti 24/7 and Masti AVI. If you want to watch this show again and again and again, it will stay on our Facebook page. But better still, just get the app, which is Radio Masti 24/7, wherever you are in the world. And under the tab Masti AVI is where you can watch it anytime. It is going to stay there forever. है ना? कमाल की बात. चलिए इसी के साथ में next week I'll see you with another amazing guest or maybe more. Just stay tuned and stay on the lookout for what exactly is happening on Masti AVI. Great evening ahead, guys. See you tomorrow on the airwaves. Bye for now.